Hey everybody, it's Bob Miller, and this is my very first podcast, Bobstradamus. One of the reasons I wanted to do this is I want to talk, I had topics I really wanted to cover, and I really want to go over. And I know I do my weekly video and everything, but it's just something I really wanted to dive into, and I thought this would be a better format for me, and it's a lot of fun too. So we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to be talking about fixing your sales problems. There's a lot of issues out there, and when we talk about it, I think at the end of this video, you're going to be able to get more clients. The biggest issue I see out there is everyone, I call them false prophets. Everyone wants to tell you what to do, but they never tell you how to do it. And it's so frustrating. I mean, it bothers me so much. And a lot of the stuff you hear these people say, and same thing like me, the same stuff I'm doing, but a lot of the stuff you hear, it's just going to be regurgitated. Okay, they're getting it out of books. I like watching some of these coaches. One of them, they'll say something like, well, you need to work on your status. Raise your status, lift your status up a little bit. For example, if someone says, hey, listen, I only got 10 minutes to hear your idea, and you say, yeah, that's great, I only got 5. You basically raised your status. They're taking that from a book, Pitch Anything, all right? So when we get done here, you're gonna be able to handle all this. You're not gonna have to go to coaches. You're not gonna have to focus on stuff like that. You're actually gonna have the tools to try to start getting your clients yourself and increase your business, all right? Let's dig into this. Why are people struggling in sales? So talk about the struggle in sales. There's 2 types of sales. There's inbound sales and there's outbound sales. So inbound is going to be like a car lot, a retail space, something like that. Outbound is more real estate. We're going to be talking about outbound sales more than anything. Outbound sales is going to be where you have to go out and you physically have to go get the clients. And that's what real estate is. So we're going to be focusing more on real estate than anything, because that's really my sphere of influence, things I know really well. But a lot of the tactics will work for anything, whether you're inbound or out. You just have to go get data. And once you get the data, you know where to look. And that's where we're going to start today. Biggest problem I have is going to be, like I said, once again, all false prophets, okay? And there's some people that will tell you what to do. You can do it, you're the greatest, you know how to do it. That's so frustrating, okay? Because no one really tells you how to do it, all right? So what I want you to do is, first thing you need to focus on is you got your 6 little nosy friends, okay? Who, what, where, when, why, and how. And they need to be poking their nose in your business all the time. If someone says, if you're like, why are you so successful? Well, you got to work hard. What does that mean, work hard? Okay, well, you got to put in more hours. Put in more hours doing what? Well, you got to find clients. Where do I find these clients? Okay, well, you go here, and you find, what do I say to them when I find them? Okay, these are the follow-up questions you need to ask. The problem is a lot of people just take that information and they just move. You got to work harder. Okay, I got to work harder. And then they suffer burnout. Now, that's a big misconception also. A lot of people think overwork is burnout. Overwork is just you're coming home dog-ass tired. That's overwork. Burnout is due to a lack of purpose, lack of fulfillment. Why am I doing it? What am I getting from it? Right? That's burnout. And that's what we need to overcome today. So what's the real problem? Remember what I just told you? You have to ask the follow-up questions. How do I figure out what the real problem is? Okay, a lot of people are going to come in, they're going to say, well, I need clients. Okay, that's great. If I can give you 10,000 clients this year, would you be happy? And you think you'd say yes. First of all, you're talking like more than 3 a day. There's no way you're going to work more than 3 clients a day. All right, if anything, you're going to upset somebody, they're going to move on somewhere else. Second of all, you weren't really specific, were you? Kinlan's law says if you write a problem down clearly, then the matter is half solved. Okay, and that's what we need to do here. So you say you want clients. All right, what if I get you 1,000 tire kickers? Do you want those? Of course you don't, right? They're not putting any money in your pocket. So why would you want to do that? So what's the real problem? The real problem is you need to make money. All right, so let's focus on that. Let's go ahead and write everything backwards and then come in that way. So how much money do you need to make? So let's say you need to make $100,000 a year. Now we're using real estate, for example. We need to find out what the average commission is. Well, Bob, how do I find that out? Great question, right? Simply go to Google. That's all I did, okay? And on one side transaction, the average commission is 2.5%, okay? So we're talking $100,000 divided by 2.5%. Okay, now we have to convert that percentage into a decimal, all right? So it's going to be 0.025. You're going to take 100,000 and divide it by 0.025. That's going to give you 4 million. All right, you need to hit 4 million in sales. That's all you need to do. We need to be more clear though. How many houses is that? How do we know what that is, Bob? Great. Here's how we're going to figure that out. Simply go to Google again. What's the average sales price for a home in Polk County, Florida? All right, well, that number comes to $307,351. And it's going to change. By the time you watch this, it's going to change. It's fluctuating every single day. We're going to round that number down to 300,000. And when we do, you're going to take 4 million divided by 300,000. It's going to come to 13.3 homes. That's 1.11 home per month. But a month, you're going to have to sell 2 of them. All right. So now we know exactly what we have to do. You have to sell at least 1 home a month. One of these months, you're going to have to sell 2. So what we need to focus on now is we need to write goals, right? So how are we going to achieve these numbers? We have the numbers. So now we got to write a goal. Once again, they have to be clear. So when we're writing goals, first of all, goals need to be one page, right? No more than one page. You squeeze it all on one page. Across the top, it's going to be the goal. Then you're going to need a time frame. How long do we have to work on this? We're going to need an action plan, and we're going to need benchmarks. Now, I'll explain the benchmarks here in a second. As far as the time frame goes, we're looking at 1 year, $100,000 in 1 year. What's the action plan? All right, now we're going to cover that here in a second, but the action plan, when you do a well-written goal, I should be able to hand it to anyone. They should be able to achieve it. No questions whatsoever. It should read like stereo instructions. Red wire A goes into red slot 1. Blue wire B goes into blue slot 2. Okay, that's how it needs to read. So that's what we need to focus on. The benchmarks are really to keep you on track. So what you need to do with a benchmark, typically I break it down. If it's going to be 1 year, I break it down to 4 times. I need to hit my benchmark. So my benchmark would say by the end of the first quarter, I need to have 3 homes sold. All right. If I don't have 3 homes sold, then I need to make a change to the goal. You don't change the goal, you change the action plan. You don't change the time frame, you don't change the benchmark, you change the action plan. It needs to get more aggressive. What's working on that action plan? What's not? Okay. What to bail on and what to actually dial in on more. So you can get back on track with that goal. All right. Now that we have the goal written, what we need to focus on is how to get clients. Well, of course, the question is, Bob, how do I get clients? Well, there's a lot of ways to do it. There's really only 5 ways to do it. 1, you have to reach out to people privately, cold call, cold message, cold email, create content that attracts people. You can run paid ads or you can pay for leads. Pay for leads through affiliates and lead generation sites or by word of mouth. Now, if you're new into the business, word of mouth is kind of working your sphere of influence. That's not really going to hit you that hard until you actually start getting some business. Paying through leads through affiliate sites and lead generation sites. Well, if you're new to the business, you probably don't have that much money to do it. I know a lot of realtors, after they got really successful, they paid for lead generation and it just starts clicking for them. And that's great. So you have to be able to put money aside so that you can pay for lead generation. So make sure you're including that in your budget also. You run paid ads, but once again, you need money. You need money to do that. You're new in this business. So the number 1 and number 2 is really what we're going to focus on today. Create contact that attracts people and reach out to people privately, cold call, cold message, cold email. Now that sucks, okay? People hate cold calling. I do. I know I do. So you got to focus on how to talk to people. Here's the other question. How do I do that, Bob? Okay, we're going to focus on that. The biggest thing is I'm going to introduce you to a word, autodidact. It means self-taught, right? So you need to actually self-teach. You can pay for coaches. You can do all that all you want and spend the money. But as I'm telling you, most of the coaches are really just telling you how to overcome objections for clients you don't have. So really, it doesn't matter how much you pay them, all right? And everything I'm telling you now, you're going to get. Everything you see out there is just them reading books and then just regurgitating it to you, right? You can do it yourself. 100% you can do it yourself. Let's focus on the first one. Talking to clients. Do you have a problem doing that? You probably do. Everyone does. It's not the easiest thing to master. It just isn't. Talking to people, but listen, that's what this business is. So you can either learn how to do it or you got to get out of it. If you're an electrician, you got to deal with electricity. All right, if you're a fisherman, you're dealing with fish. You're in sales, you're dealing with people. You either know how to talk to them or you don't. There's no reason you can't. You deal with people every single day. The problem you have is actually asking for them for something. Right, that's the issue you have. So like I said, let's make the issues as clear as possible. You deal with people every day. You ask for something to drink. You buy products every single day. You tell people no. You have tons of conversations a day, not comfortable going after the sale. And what you need to do, first of all, to overcome those issues is you simply just need to say them out loud. You just need to admit to them and own them up. One of the things I teach a lot of people is if you have problems speaking in front of a lot of people at once, you think that you're nervous about talking in front of those people, and you are. You're really nervous they're going to find out. That's what really bothers you, okay? Because you don't want to be seen as the guy who's not comfortable doing it, but you're not comfortable doing it. I've done large events where I've stood in front of hundreds of people and I've simply just said, hey, listen, guys, I've never talked to a crowd this big, so I'm a little nervous. So if I stop or I get hung up a little bit, please forgive me. And the weight is totally off me 100%. It's over, okay? Because now they can't find out I wasn't nervous or that I am nervous. They can't find out because I already told them. That's the biggest hurdle, and it just takes a weight off your shoulders. So if you have something that you're really nervous about, and it's going to be other people, it's not going to be what you think it is, all right? Everyone's nervous speaking in front of people. Right? So just admit to it. Hey, I'm nervous talking in front of people. I'm sorry I'm out here. I've never dealt with anything like this. Just forgive me. And you're going to overcome it. It's going to be a weight off your shoulders, and you're going to move through the process a lot better. One of my favorite things to talk about when we're talking about getting in front of people and talking to them is Toastmasters. You've heard me talk about Toastmasters before if you've seen my videos. It's an amazing organization, and you absolutely need to join it. Now, when I joined it, it was free. I heard from Virginia, Orlando, a friend of mine, I think she said it was $8 a month if you sign up for a whole year, which is peanuts for a self-investment. It really is. It's inexpensive, and you need to do it. Now, where's a local Toastmaster? Great question. All right. Well, here in Central Florida, there's one at the Mid-Florida building off of Gary Road. It's 1551 East Gary Road. Not hard to find. They've got a phone number, but if you go and look online, they even have a Zoom ID. You can dial into the Zoom ID and watch the Toastmaster for free, all right, until you get comfortable finally showing up. This is an organization that you're going to be surrounded by people with the exact same problem you have, right? They have trouble talking in front of people, and you only get up there when you're comfortable. No one. I've been with real estate companies where, and I don't want to say the names, okay, where they send you to these camps and people stand on top of you while you're cold calling. I mean, you'll have 3-4 people around you while you're making this cold call. And it's nerve-wracking. It really is. And it's not fun. Now, it did get me over it, but not only do I have the fear, again, of talking to these people, I got the fear of everyone who's experienced around me watching me break down and be nervous and crash. And at the same time, you got like this one talking, say this one talking, say that, this one talking, say that. Toastmasters is at your own pace. I really, really recommend it 100%. You really need to look into it if you have problems speaking to people. There's a lot of books out there that you can go ahead and read also. Now, the question is, when do I have time to read? I don't know. You probably need to make some time. But if you're like me, I hate reading. I really do. If it doesn't have cartoon characters on it, I don't like reading it. I just don't. I don't have the attention span for it. So I do audiobooks. Well, here's your little nosy friend. Bob, how do I afford an audiobook? I don't have any money. Great question. Go to YouTube. You can go to YouTube and find almost every audiobook you want for free. That's what I do. I play it in my car, turn the music off, all right, and go ahead and let it play in the car. And if it's playing in the car, you can listen to it. You're not going to absorb every single thing from the book. So maybe you have to listen to it 2 or 3 times, but it's absolutely free. And a little pro tip is when I was done watching it or I got to my location, I would screenshot my phone so I knew exactly where the audiobook stopped. Right? Then that way I can just pick up there again and roll out from there. So it's really easy to do. There's tons of books out there. Well, Bob, what book should I listen to? All right, totally great question. I get it. What I want you to focus on is I really want you to try to build a sales tool belt. So let's not absorb all the information from all these books because not all of it's going to actually fit your style. All right. Typically, when I read or I listen to an audiobook, I pull out things that I can use. As far as framing, when we talked about raising your status, lowering your status, that's from Pitch Anything. All right. And I absolutely took that. So same thing again. So if someone said, hey, I only got 10 minutes to hear your idea. Great, I only have 5 to give it to you, so this will be over really fast. I just raised my status. If they come back and say, well, I've had 5 other people pitch it to me, I really don't like the idea. Or I've had 5 other realtors talk to me about listing this property, and I really didn't like their idea. I totally understand. Listen, I ran this idea by 10 other sellers, and they loved it. Okay, so once again, I just kind of raised my status. There's a lot of other things you can get from Pitch Anything, but that's really what I took and I put in my tool belt, right? So I use that a lot. But one of the first books you need to start with is going to be See You at the Top, of course, by the master Zig Ziglar. Right? I went on YouTube personally to look at it, and yes, that book is on there, 100% free audiobook, See You at the Top. It covers so much good stuff, right? You're not going to get all of it the first time you're listening to it. You're just not, right? Listen to it 2-3 times. Listen to it 4 times. Sometimes if I'm working in the office, I just have it playing, and I'll hear something that clicks. It's a great book. See You at the Top, Zig Ziglar, 100% recommend it. Another one, Eat the Frog, which I just thought of, as I was saying right now. That one is where you take on the hard stuff first. A great book, great audiobook, absolutely free. You can download it, okay? And have a little notepad, or a lot of times I will have a voice recorder, a digital voice recorder, which I used to use in my other job. But I'll simply talk in, I keep it in my car, and if I see something or if I want to mention something, I simply talk into it. If I see a phone number, instead of grabbing my phone and trying to take a picture, I just talk into it and I say the phone number. If you get ideas, go ahead and use those. Go ahead and put them down. Another great book, Never Split the Difference by Christopher Voss. That's an amazing book. You ever hear coaches out there and say, well, you need to hear a no for a yes? That's from Christopher Voss, okay, from Never Split the Difference. And the title makes you think that you have to crush everybody and you have to win every single negotiation. That's not what the title means. The title means, now he used to be an FBI negotiator. So what the title means is that if there's 5 hostages, he can't say, give me 3 and go ahead and kill 2. He can't split it. He needs to get all of it. He needs to get all the people out. He's probably the master at turning negatives into positives. So first of all, he'll tell you if you hear 3 yeses, then boom, you go for it. You've got them on that string of yes, yes, yes. If they start saying no, well, then you got to focus on the no, no, no. Again, this isn't about getting clients. I'm drifting here a little bit. This is talking about how to close the deal, but we need to make sure we're getting these clients. And we're going to circle back to that. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Listen, this book was written in 1936. It's almost 100 years old, and it's still being used. It's a little dated. They talk about Lincoln, they talk about Wilson, presidents you've never ever seen in your lifetime. But, they talked about it. But there's another one, How to Win Friends and Influence People in the Digital Age. Same book, except for they kind of changed some of the concepts. Everything he tells you, you can still use today. All right, 100%. You can absolutely use today. Now, let's get back on it. So that's how you're going to talk to people. But here's the question: who are we talking to? Okay, well, that's what we need to focus on. So we need 1 house a month. One of the months we need 2 houses. So where are we going to do that? Well, let's focus on the number 100. Typically, you have a 1 in 100 shot to get a client, all right, especially if you want a seller. So that means you're going to have to hear no 99 times. And that should be exciting, first of all, okay? If I knew that every time I heard no, I was 1 closer, you could actually track it. You could write down 100. I guarantee you, if you do 100, you're going to hear no, 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 no. And every time I hear no, I'm thinking, all right, 98 to go, 97 to go, 96 to go, 95 to go. That's literally my mindset when I'm dealing with it. What you need to focus on is what you're going to say to these people, okay? So when we say 100 people, let's break that number down. Because remember, we got to make it as simple as we can. So let's break the number down even more. I don't call on Sundays. Sunday is a day for me. And typically, it's a private day for people. So I typically don't call on Sundays. So 4 Sundays out of the month, so now you're down to 26 days. Let's call it 25. All right, so basically you're calling 4 people a day, minimum. You're calling 4 people a day. If you call 8 people on Monday, you still got to call 4 on Tuesday, 4 on Wednesday, 4 on Thursday, 4 on Friday. All right, so that your minimum is going to be 4 people. Now, who am I calling, Bob, right? There it is. That's the question. Who am I calling? Well, you need to call sellers who are motivated, right? Here's the question again. Where are they, Bob? Where are some motivated sellers? Most of the time, motivated sellers, if I really need to pick up some listings, I'll call motivated sellers. Where do I find them? Well, typically it's people that have problems with their property. They have a probate. They have a tax issue. They have code violations, stuff like that. And you need to go ahead and find those people. And when you do, those are really easy calls to make. What's the question? Where do I find those people? Great question. You simply find them on the clerk of court's office. It's not hard to find. You just need to keep looking for information. You got to stop giving up and just keep looking for information. If I wanted to find out who's got a tax issue, I go to clerk of court's office. Now, I'm not in front of you. I can't show you on a computer. You go to the clerk of court's office and you simply go in there and you'll look up tax deeds. You go to official records, you type tax deeds, boom, all of a sudden everyone pops up who's got a tax issue, who's got an auction coming up. Those people are motivated to sell. They're going to lose the house. All right, and if the auction comes up, they've got 30, 60 days. 100% they want to sell that house. Okay, so right there, totally motivated sellers. You got to talk to them. You got to call them. How do you get their number? Another great question. A lot of times I'll use a program called Been Verified. There's tons of them out there. I like Been Verified. All right, so I'm not dogging any other program. If you want to use something else, use something else. Been Verified tends to show me relatives and stuff like that, so I can find these people. Now, what's the next question? What do I say to these people, Bob? Another great question. See, and that's what you need to keep doing. You need to at least ask 5 times. 5 questions minimum. All right, when someone's giving you advice on how to do something, and they need to include the who, what, where, when, why, and how. You got to at least ask 5 times. All right, now what are you going to say to these people? Well, you're dealing with people who've got issues, not mental issues, financial issues. And you have to give them some dignity. So what do you say to these people? And that's a great question. All right, so you basically have 3 to 5 seconds to go ahead and try to get their attention. After that, you need to buy yourself an extra 3 to 5 seconds. So you need to hit them real fast with something that's going to keep them on the hook so they don't slam the phone down on you, all right? So when I call, you can't say, hey, this is Bob from Millshire Realty, and I see you're not paying your taxes, because no one wants to hear that. No one wants to see that, all right? What you need to do is basically what I would say when I call these people is I say, hey, this is Bob, and I specialize in turning hard assets into liquid cash. Right? Boom, that just bought me another 5 seconds. Okay, and that's what I need. Now I can actually give them a little bit more information. So you've got to give these people some dignity when you talk to them, all right? So you can't just come in there and say, hey, listen, I know you can't pay. That's not going to work. So after I get my first introduction, I buy myself another 5 seconds, I come back with, you were probably about to run down there and go ahead and pay your tax bill like everyone does at the last second. But have you ever thought about selling that property and simply just cashing out of it? All right, I gave them some dignity. All right, told them, hey, you're probably going to go down there and pay for it. They're probably not. Most of the time they don't. Okay, sometimes they will, but most of the time they don't. And now I just turned you into an opportunity. Hey, you ever thought about selling it? That property is easy to list, okay? They're not the sexiest properties on the planet, okay? But hey, they pay. And we want clients that pay, all right? We don't want tire kickers. If you want 1,000 tire kickers, you'll stay busy all year. Trust me, you won't eat. You'll stay busy all year. All right, so that's what we need to focus on when we're talking to these people. And that's just one aspect of it, okay? There's other ones. There you can talk to foreclosures if you want to. Those are distressed properties. Now, we don't just need to focus on sellers. You want clients that pay, all right? Well, we can focus on buyers. Where am I going to get buyers, Bob? Great. You can go ahead and put out content for absolutely free. How am I going to get content? Great question. You want to know who will absolutely let you put all their houses out there for free and show them and talk about incentives and everything? New construction. I tell new agents this all the time. If you need content, you want to show a house that you can sell, you want to show a house that has $18,000 in closing costs, a house that has 4.99% financing, go to new construction. They will never say no whatsoever. They'll never say no to you. And now you're focused on buyers. Buyers need money. You've got the houses, right? So, and I guarantee you they'll let you video any house you want out there. I've never been told, in 20 years, I've never been told from new construction, don't video our houses, don't talk about our homes. I've never had anyone say that. So now you have content. Now you can focus on buyers too. So there's a lot of alternatives out there. You just have to do some research. So don't think you have zero options. When you get into real estate, I'm saying real estate because that's what I do. Okay, but if I was in car sales, my brother was in car sales and he was amazing at it. The first thing he used to do, he used to go back there through the records and find everyone who's had the car for 4 years. And then he'd start hitting them. Those are high percentage shots. All right, those people are probably they're coming off a lease. The lease is about to end. He'd look those people's information up. People who owned the car for 4 years, he would look their information up. He would contact those people. He hit them with something like, hey, your lease is coming up, ready to put you in a new car or a new lease. Are you ready for something like that? We just got some brand new models down here. So data is going to be key for you. All right, so don't think you don't have options. And that's where everyone just gets burned out because they just like, well, I don't know any friends that are selling. I don't know who to talk to that's going to sell. You can find people out there, but you have to do research, all right? And that's why you need to learn yourself and you need to dig into it. If you're going to do content, here's my only suggestion for content, okay? One, do new construction if you're in real estate. If you're in cars, find people who are about to roll into a lease. Find people who've owned them for 4 years. My dad would get rid of his car every 5 years. I don't care. There could be nothing wrong with it. Every 5 years, he needed a new car. And it used to drive me crazy. But if the battery died, he had to get a new car today. Literally, if the battery died, the car was shot. He'd have to go get a new car. So they loved seeing him coming in there. You just have to go ahead and get research. It doesn't matter what the business is, all right? But when you're doing content, like we're talking about real estate right now because that's what I'm focused on. But one, you have to accept imperfection, right? You're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. That's fine. Don't worry about it, okay? Getting it out is better than getting it right, okay? So don't worry about being perfect. Worry about getting the information. Worry about the next one being perfect and the next one being perfect and the next one being perfect. Just keep getting them out, all right? Go to new construction. Do you mind if I push your product out here to attract buyers? No one's going to tell you no, all right? Embrace authenticity. You have to be authentic, okay? Don't be fake. A lot of people tell me that I have a video voice and that I sound different or I talk differently when I'm doing a video or something like that, which is 100% true. I try to enunciate a little bit better. I try to watch my tones. I try to speak up. I try to do stuff like that. Yeah, I do. So my nephew says I sound a little car salesman-y, but in video, you kind of have to go a little bit over the top for it to look normal. All right. So if I just talk my normal, like I'm talking to everybody, I'm really going to seem like no energy, no nothing. Like here, I got my hands moving. I want you to see this. I want you to see that. That's video. All right. So, but just embrace authenticity. So don't worry about how it's going to look. Don't worry about how you sound. Get it out there, look at it, and then focus on it and see if you like it. And if you don't, just go ahead and change it. It's not a big deal. See it as a conversation. This right here, us talking, I'm literally imagining I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to the camera. All right. So it's just a conversation. That's all we're doing is having. Don't change it. Don't make it more than anything than what it really is. Just a simple conversation. And instead of worrying about the negative feedback, worry about the people it's going to benefit. There's always going to be haters. All right. My father used to tell me, bless the haters because they tell your weaknesses to your face. Okay. So that's great, man. Dog me out. Bob, your hair looks stupid. Bob, I can hear your nose whistle, blah, blah, blah. Great. Give it to me because it lets me fix it. But that's what I'm using that information for. It's not going to put me in a corner, where I won't go out for the next dance. It's not baby in the corner, Bob. I'm not doing that. Okay. I'll simply take that feedback and I'll adjust it. I won't say anything about it. If you put anything negative on my post, which you'll notice, I don't even go back and forth with you. I just hit a like button. Because why am I going to do that? All right, there's no zinger I can give you online because you're not going to respond for 6 hours until you find something cute to say. It's not like face-to-face where it's quick-witted. So don't even bother with just hit a like button. I really appreciate the feedback. And listen, they go away. I've had one person go on 3 times. I appreciate the feedback. Man, I really appreciate you watching. You must have watched it 3 times. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And they just go away. And last but not least, when we're doing this, when you're talking to someone, when I originally did, first of all, this podcast, I probably said out loud in my car 10 times, okay? Practice makes perfect, all right? If I'm going to a listing, if I'm about to talk to someone, I literally will kind of run through my speech in the mirror. How am I looking? Do I look professional? Are my hands moving? Am I doing this? Am I turning away? I literally focus on looking at myself in the eye in the mirror. You have to practice. You have to put in work, okay? So that's 100% of it, all right? If you're not willing to do that, it's not gonna work. A lot of times in the beginning, which I don't do now, and I probably should still do, is if I'm calling people on the phone, I'll either have my digital recorder or I literally will be in front of my computer and I'll have the camera on the computer recording me so I can see it, so I can watch it later. What did I do well? Where did I stutter? What question did he ask me that locked me up? Here's what drives me crazy when you see a lot of these coaches. When we talk about hard selling, if you have to hard sell someone, you didn't really do your job. There's no reason I have to hard sell someone that, here, let's take cars. They walk in there, I want this car, this color, this price, this monthly payment. Okay, the only reason I got to hard sell you is because it's green, not blue. I have to hard sell you because instead of $300 a month, it's $400 a month. All right, so I simply just didn't do my job. That's actually easy to overcome too. Do you ever hear the old sell me this pen from Jordan Belfort, sell me his pen? That exercise isn't about selling the pen, it's about qualifying a buyer. And when I hear a lot of realtors make mistakes, and when I talk about clients that are actually going to close, is the first thing they say is, well, what's your price point? What kind of house are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for $350,000. Okay, what's that monthly payment look like? Because that's where the lockup's going to be. They never ask what the monthly payment is, okay? So if I was working with you, I'd say, well, what are you looking at a month? Well, or what are you looking for in a price? They'd say, well, $350,000. Okay, what do you think that price looks like a month? Well, I don't know. Okay, that's where your holdup's going to be, and that's where I'm going to have to hard sell you. So let me get that out of the way right now. People buy payment, they never buy price. I'll sell you $1 million house at $100 a month. You'll never own it, all right? But you'll buy it, and you'll pay $100 a month. So you need to get that out of the way. So if I said, hey, all right, $350 is great. That payment, let's call a mortgage broker. Have you talked to the bank? Have you asked them what that payment looks like? No. Let's get that out of the way. All of a sudden it comes back, well, that payment's going to be $2,500. I never knew it was going to be that. Okay, well then I don't need to show you 350 houses anymore. I need to show you $300,000 houses. Or maybe you need to get your finances in straight and you're going to wait until you hit $350,000. Now I just keep tagged with them. But sell me this pen. I just qualified him. So I'm not driving him around showing stuff he can't afford. Make sure you know what they can afford per month, all right? So it's all about information. It's all about taking in information. It's all about giving information. But don't focus on hard. So these coaches out here are talking about, I saw this one girl and she said she was talking with a client and the client said they couldn't afford it per month. And then she said, well, just be quiet. And the first one who talks loses. Well, so your client loses and then you really win? You're going to put them in a house they can't afford. They're not going to call you back because they don't look like they can't afford the house you sold them. They're not going to call you. I never understood that. That example right there, as far as like the first person talk, that's when you're negotiating. All right, that's not working with your clients. Okay, so get all the information you can from a client, right? And you don't have to hard sell them. They'll say soft sell. All right, well, soft sell is saying that's Christopher Voss. You know, get yes, 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 but make sure you're asking the right question. Okay, do you love the house? Yes. Do you like the location? Yes. Your kid's going to like it? Yes. All right. Here's the last question. Can you afford it? All right. So you want to make sure. I mean, I know sales are an emotional process, but you need to be able to spend your time on clients that are actually going to close, especially when you have nothing going on. Real estate's 100% commission. If I don't sell nothing this month, I simply don't get paid. All right. So you need to focus on stuff like that. That's really all I got for you guys today. Now, I would like to keep doing this podcast, and I hope this information was helpful. Give me a call if you need anything. Go ahead and send me a comment. Send me an email if you like. It's bobmillerhome@gmail.com. I love doing it. I love helping. And anything I can do for you, let me know. And this is Bob Miller, and I'll see you later.